Alright, so today's video, which is the same day, is The Boys Season 4. Let's start it off real fast here. Alright, got our 5 categories: plot, acting, dialogue, cinematography, soundtrack. Plot. The Boys Season 4, 7-6. There's a time for parody, and there's a time to know when your parody is too on the nose. This season, it was too on the nose. You went too far with it. It was so obvious it was like a SNL skit. And I feel like the previous seasons had done a good job of like kind of like walking that tightrope enough to where like, and I mean they kind of got a lot of people with it, not me obviously, because you could never get me. They got a lot of people with it of some of their fan base were the people that they were making fun of. And yeah, they finally realized it this season fully because it was so on the nose. And I felt like I don't know, when it's that on the, well, it's not that on the nose. They should have realized in the first 3 seasons, if we're being honest. But yeah, I just think they did too much with the parody this season. Spoiler alert here. It's an obvious parody of COVID and January 6th, and they mentioned January 6th a couple times, like 3 times in that episode. They're like, January 6th, certify the votes of the election, January 6th. And it's like, it's too obvious. You want to do it in like a artistic way, and just saying January 6th, there's no artistic value in that there's no complexity, there's no nuance. It's just purely parody for the sake of parody. um but yeah, and then they did some really weird stuff with Starlight's character. They basically like try and tie in like an abortion plot line, and they didn't show that at all in the previous season, which is like, look, if you're going to make a political statement and you're going to tackle abortion, you're going to talk about abortion, I feel like it's got to be more than just a one-line sentence drop. I feel like it's like, it felt like the show wanted to get its political stance out on specific issues, and instead of like actually having a conversation about it on the show, or actually like any amount of like, complexity or anything like that, they just like said it. They just like said what they believe. And that's not art. That's just saying shit. And I feel like they've done a pretty good job with that in the past, of instead of just saying stuff, they've done a good job of showing it. I think that's really the key to me, of if you want to, have political themes in your shows, in your movies, is you need to show it. You need to illustrate it. You need to like let people know why you think that, and show the different stances. In this season, it feels like they're just saying stuff. That was really weird. Not, like, not a, I don't know the right way to say this. That sort of stuff's not a problem for me. I don't have a problem with political messaging in shows. Especially not this show. So yeah, plot 7-6, really too on the nose with the parody. No, nothing hidden as far as the parody goes this season. And as far as like, again, what happened, stuff happened this season. To be fair, some characters died. The world building kind of moved along, but at the end of the day, I'll put it like this: there were some fights this season with multiple soups, with normal people in the room, and when normal people are in the room with soups, you don't feel the weight of the soup in the fight compared to them. Not soup as in, look at this ladle, I'm eating soup. Soup as in superhero. But you don't feel the weight of them in the fight. You feel like, okay, Mother's Milk and Butcher, which I don't even know what he is at this point. I mean, he's either the weakest character at the show that's going to die of cancer, or he's the strongest character on the show that can kill one of the strongest soups on the entire show. I understand what they did. Sorry, I'm a little rambling here. But this kind of, I'm going to target this one specific point. They made it blatantly obvious that Butcher, spoiler alert here, Butcher had multiple personalities. They made it obvious. They hit you with Becca, but then they also hit you with Joe Kessler. And pretty much everybody online knew basically immediately um, that that was not a real person. That Joe Kessler was not a real person, and they basically string you along. I think for about 6 episodes or 5 episodes, where they're like still acting like he is, and it's like, bro, I've known this since episode 1 that he isn't real. Why are we playing this game? Um, but yeah, that part was really weird. The on the nose parody was really weird. Really didn't accomplish too much. Felt like they pulled a lot of their punches in their fights. The plot, I don't know if I've said it already. 7-6, way down from previous seasons. Way down from previous seasons. 1.4 points down from The Boys season 1. That was a 9 on plot. 1.3 points down from The Boys season 2, and zero point 0.7 points down from The Boys season 3. I felt like they did the least in one of their most important seasons, and that bothers me because you're supposed to be kind of escalating up and not like it felt like a filler season. It felt like you maybe could have put all of the plot lines in the season into one episode and just put that one episode out instead of releasing an entire season of the show. And when that's the case, I think you failed for the most part. Not failed in general as a show in general, but failed as the standard that I expect from you, from The Boys. Um, Acting 7-8. There were some bad moments this season. I'm just gonna keep it honest. There were some bad moments this season as far as acting goes. Especially like this kind of goes hand in hand with the dialogue, and the dialogue, I'll go ahead and tell you guys that dialogue is a 7-9. That is a 0.5 drop from previous seasons. The acting is a 0.5 and a 0.4 drop from the previous 2 seasons. The reason I say this is because of the on the nose parody. There's a lot of line delivery that is just horrible. It's just bad. It's just straight up the most superhero, like 2000 superhero, just flat out say it. Say your character's intentions. The worst comes from Huey. Huey has a line in the finale, or the episode before the finale. And he says something like, "Violence isn't brave." Like, and it's pretty clearly highlighted. Another thing with the dialogue, basically like slipping in one episode, Kimiko saying to Frenchie, about how she basically lost her ability to talk, and then her being able to like scream no. I understand it's a traumatic thing. That's why she's able to talk, is because she's trying to stop Frenchie from being taken because she cares about Frenchie so much. I understand that, but it feels like to kind of just slip that in there. That is a major part of her character, and you covered it in 3 episodes. I know someone's gonna hit me with, well, if you look at the beginning of the season, you'll find that when she's going to the therapist, she's talking about trying to learn how to speak. I get that, but that's one scene. That's one scene. It's not this continued arc. It's not just because you put a little seed at the beginning of the season and then you water that seed a little bit in the middle. You water it. It doesn't mean that it should grow immediately once you water it. That's not how you do a character arc, in my opinion. A lot of the dialogue was pretty weird. In fact, I know that the no from Kimiko shouting no when Frenchie's being taken is a big moment in the show to a lot of people. I thought it was bad dialogue. Not the time or place for that. I think it almost would have been more impactful if she still couldn't scream, to show that, how bad she wants to, but nothing can come out. I think that would almost be more impactful. But yeah, dialogue was acting was plot was cinematography 8.2. This goes down from season 3 by 0.5. It goes down from season 1 and 2 by 0.2. It goes down from season 3 by 0.5 because season 3 I feel like is the best. I felt like they had like a lot of very colorful scenes that looked good. In this season, I gave it the worst in the show because season 1 I didn't feel like they had a lot to work with. They had like these like weird filters. I do think this season looks better than season 1, but understanding the budget and the fact that they had hit their peak and they are now on the way back down, I think they have passed season 1 because you had it right. Why are you changing it? You had it to me the best at the season, like the best of all the seasons. And now I feel like we're regressing. We're going into this like really weird cold blue filter that Ozark has. Um, I get you want to show a depressed dystopian world. There's different ways to do that than just make it blue and dark. Not a fan of that. Soundtrack 9. Um, they start. This is the highest I've given the entire show. They start the season with this song for Victoria Newman. It's like "God Bless the Queen" or whatever, and then like it's like the fascist regime is the lyrics that follow that. Felt like it was like perfect. Felt like it could not have like kickstarted the season better, and it actually made me very hopeful for the season because I just kind of I don't know. I was like, damn, I'm really feeling this, and I think it ended the episode with the same thing after something big had happened. Yeah, I just generally liked just that in general. That alone makes a lot of this rating up because I know that the soundtrack in between the episodes, I really like the violin theme that they've given Homelander, and they've now also assigned to Sister Sage at the end of the season. Um, I like a lot of that. Immersion, show's not going for it, not applicable. Comedy, I have this at an 8.4 because I had just generally just given everything an 8.4. Now that I'm actually looking at it, I remember the first episode of the season, Homelander was kind of cracking some jokes that I kind of thought were a little funny. That might be a little bit worrisome to people that I'm laughing at Homelander jokes. It's a little bit worrisome to me. But yeah, give it an 8.6. So 0.2 up from all the other previous seasons. It was a little bit funnier. There was a Frenchie joke during the middle of the season. This man is in no condition to F a sheep. Beautiful. Could not have been better line delivery, better joke for like the cast that was around him. It was perfect. World building. 7.8. The worst of the show. Season 2 covered basically Vought's history, all the way back to World War II and the Nazis. Season 3 covered Payback and kind of Homelander's history, but Soldier Boy's history and him being basically the sperm donor for Homelander. I felt like that covered a period of time that it explained a lot of what was going on in the world. First season explains the world. Second season explains deep history. Third season explains semi-deep history. This season explains the political environment is the best I can come up with when I'm thinking about the world building of the show. It basically comes up with this like a January 6th back and forth, left and right in real life, like equivalent. And that's okay, but we've been known about that. The Starlighter thing happened all the way back in like season 3. Like what are we doing? And I think season 2 actually, now that I think about it. So not really a fan of that at all. Characters. All right. So I have the characters at this season for an 8.9. Season 1 was an 8.9. That was the introduction of all the characters. Season 2 was a 9. They introduced Stormfront and Victoria Newman, two characters I really felt helped the plot. That's why I gave it a 9. And then season 3, I gave it an 8.7. They pretty much just introduced Payback and Soldier Boy. Not really too interested in those characters. I'm actually going to bump this up from an 8.9 to a 9. I think it's as good as season 2. It might even be better as far as the characters go. Firecracker's character and Sister Sage. Sister Sage being the main highlight. Must watch TV. Anytime she's on the screen, must watch TV. And that's why I think the season deserves a 9 on the characters, because I feel like those two additions were almost as big as Stormfront and as Newman. So I think those were two big additions. I enjoy really both of the scenes, or both of the characters when they are in scenes. Yeah, just in general, really like the characters they added. And finally, rating for the season, 7.9. This is my lowest rating for The Boys so far. Season 1 started at 8.8. This is a 0.9% drop, right? Yeah. It's a 0.9% drop. Sorry, I folded on that one. On quickly getting that one out. Season 2, this is a 0.8 drop. Yeah, 0.8 drop. And season 3, this is a 0.5 drop. This season didn't really accomplish much. And on top of that, the acting was bad. So I think the plot was subpar. I think the acting was not what I'm used to from this show. I think it was worse than normally just the mush we get anyway. The dialogue, I gave it a 7.9. Like there's like a lot of bad line readings in this, a lot of bad line delivery, a lot of just saying it, like a lack of complexity in the lines. The cinematography, I think it took a step down too. The only thing that improved out of the five major categories this season was the soundtrack, and that was pretty much off of like one moment. So yeah, I don't know really what they're doing. I feel like they're basically just waiting it out for season five, and that tells me that you didn't have a plot for 5 seasons. Because if season four feels empty, then you didn't realistically have anything here. I feel like they could have covered that. What they should have done is they should have made the show 5 or 4 seasons. They should have went ahead and covered season five's plot in the back half of season four, got rid of the filler out of the middle or out of the beginning of season four, and basically combined season four and season five together instead of making this empty season four that we just saw. So I don't know. I mean, there was some, as far as the plot goes and the characters go too. I think they did a lot for A Train's character as far as like really showing who he is. I felt like for Huey's character, it was pretty regressive for Huey's character. I think they basically just sexually assaulted the man in the middle of the season, like it was going to be a big deal, and then dropped it. What, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? We're just doing it for fun at this point. Um, I don't know. Mother's Milk's character kind of progressed, but kind of also like has stayed still. Like we've already known that his motivations are Monique and Janine. So why are we like really hammering that point home? I feel like that's something that's already been like established. So I don't know. Generally, the boys I feel like is kind of been on a roller coaster ride down. I am expecting a massive dip back up because I think once we reach that season five point and they can finally start killing people because they're not trying to make a show anymore. They're not in the process of making it. They're trying to really like land a plane, so to speak, and they're trying to like stick the landing. That's what I was looking for. Little noggin ain't working too great today. Um, but yeah, once they try and stick the landing here, I think they ultimately kind of will because they'll be very aggressive about killing off characters. If the boys is not aggressive about killing off characters in its final season, I don't know what. I've been disappointed with Game of Thrones. I've been disappointed with Stranger Things about killing off characters in their final seasons. Um, Quit trying to play for the spinoff, man. Quit trying to play for the spinoff. It feels more impactful when you actually use your characters that you've built all along, and you don't just try and keep them alive so you can have a potential spin-off series of, oh, the Starlight and Huey series, or the Butcher and Ryan series, or the A Train and the Deep series, or whatever it may be, whatever thing they're trying to do. I'd much rather have an impactful finish with this show, and I'd be a lot more likely to watch a spinoff if you stuck the landing with this show with killing off some of your characters. Because watching a show that doesn't kill off its characters, it makes me feel like, okay, what's the point? Because we're living in this world where it's super violent, it's super gory, but what, our characters have plot armor? Is that what we're getting at? I just think more needs to happen. I watched Soldier Boy tackle Maeve out of a window in like this 80-story building, and they blew up in the middle of the air. Neither of them died. I watched Victoria Newman get shot in the head and just tank a bullet, but then you're telling me these tendrils that Butcher has, these octopus arms, they're strong enough to kill Soups. Motherfucker, he's got cancer. Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I get the whole cancer is his superpower, and actually he's like Venom, and actually he's like Moon Knight, but it's just boring to me. I've seen it done before, and I'm kind of just tired of it. It's kind of a lame like story beat here, and I just want the final fight already. I feel like we're gonna keep getting these fake fights. I hope they don't do it at the beginning of season five, where it's like these fake fights of like, oh, 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 and then it's like nobody dies, and maybe we'll save that for the end of the season. What happens if they just try and spin off all these characters? Because I know they're talking about potential The Boys spin-off. So it's like if they don't stick the landing in season 5, the rating will be lower than a 7.9. It will be lower than a 7.9 because my frustration with this season is that I think they're holding too much back for season 5. And if I have to watch 2 seasons in a row of them holding back, one of which being the finale, again, I don't think this will be the case. So I think they'll prove me wrong, or not prove me wrong. I think they'll prove me right with my prediction for season 5. But I don't know. I hope they actually start doing something. But anyway, that was my complaint about season 4 of The Boys. Not really a review, more of a complaint. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and peace.